Number 1. Napoleon's rabbit attack. After the signing of the 1807 Treaty of Tilsit, Napoleon ordered a celebratory rabbit hunt. However, when released, the rabbits swarmed and attacked him. Turns out, they were tame rabbits that mistook him for their feeder. 2. The Great Emu War. In 1932, Australia waged war against emus because they were destroying crops. Despite using machine guns, the emus outsmarted the soldiers, and the army lost. The emus won. 3. The shortest war in history. The Anglo-Zanzibar War in 1896 lasted just 38 minutes. Zanzibar surrendered after the British bombarded them. 4. Cleopatra's charm. Cleopatra, the famous Egyptian queen, was not Egyptian, she was actually of Greek descent. Also, she wasn't particularly beautiful by today's standards, her charm and intellect were what captivated men like Julius Caesar and Mark Antony. 5. Peter the Great's beard tax. Peter the Great of Russia wanted his subjects to look more modern, so he instituted a beard tax. Men had to shave or pay up. 6. The Dancing Plague of 1518. In Strasbourg, then part of the Holy Roman Empire, people literally danced until they dropped. It's believed that mass hysteria, or even a toxin, was to blame for this bizarre plague. 7. The battle that was postponed by a drunk. The Battle of Karantsabs in 1788 was one of the strangest in history. Austrian soldiers got drunk and accidentally started fighting each other, thinking they were battling the Ottoman army. 8. Nixon's Martian joke. In 1969, when Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin returned from the moon, President Nixon reportedly told them that he'd received a congratulatory call from Mr. Brezhnev in Moscow, and one from Mars, too. 9. The Pig War. In 1859, a border dispute between the US and Britain almost led to war, but it was started by a pig. An American farmer shot a British pig, escalating tensions. Fortunately, no humans died in the conflict. 10. Ancient Roman vomitoriums. Contrary to popular belief, vomitoriums weren't rooms where Romans went to vomit during feasts. They were actually the entrances and exits to stadiums and theaters. 11. The Great Molasses Flood of 1919. In Boston, a giant tank of molasses burst, sending a 15-foot wave of sticky syrup through the streets, killing 21 people. It was described as the most bizarre disaster in U.S. history. 12. Caligula made his horse a priest. Roman Emperor Caligula was so eccentric that he allegedly made his horse, Incitatus, a priest, and he even planned to make him a consul. 13. The War of Jenkins' Ear. The War of Jenkins' Ear, 1739-1748, between Britain and Spain was named after a British captain whose ear was cut off by Spanish forces. He kept his severed ear in a jar and showed it to Parliament as evidence to start the war. 14. The London Beer Flood. In 1814, a vat containing over 135,000 gallons of beer burst in London, flooding the streets with beer. 8 people tragically drowned in the Sudsey disaster. 15. The Cadaver Synod. In 897, Pope Stephen VI had the corpse of his predecessor, Pope Formosus, exhumed, put on trial, and dressed in papal robes. The dead pope was found guilty of perjury. 16. The toilet that changed history. King George II of Great Britain died in 1760 after falling off his toilet. He had a heart attack while doing his business. 17. Austria's postal truce in World War II. During World War II, Austria and the Soviet Union were at war, but oddly enough, they continued to deliver each other's mail due to a pre-existing postal agreement. 18. The Year Without a Summer, 1816. In 1816, a volcanic eruption in Indonesia led to what's known as the Year Without a Summer. Crops failed, leading to food shortages, but people threw snowball fights in June. 19. The Sneeze That Started a War. In 1883, Mexican President Porfirio Diaz sneezed at the wrong moment during a toast. His military commander misinterpreted it as a signal and attacked, almost starting a war. 20. The Time Benjamin Franklin Streaked. Benjamin Franklin had a habit of taking air baths, where he would sit naked in front of his window to air out his body. This was apparently his way of staying healthy. These events from history are proof that sometimes truth is stranger and funnier than fiction.